Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another podcast. Thank you so much for attending this podcast. Thank you so much for attending the primary podcasts of the Buddhist monarchy. Buddhist. What do you call it? Rosh Hashanah, Kiev reporting. Kind of, if you know what that's from, you understand the reference. You're smart, you're brilliant, and you understand. And guess what? You are not a turtle. And that's why today, what I want to talk about in this podcast is the importance of hand tools such as screwdrivers, hammers, staple guns, mixers, laminating your ID cards, and that's one of the very important parts about this podcast is that you're going to have to let it go. You're going to have to let go of the light flag thing, the flags. Because the flags, they didn't do anything to you. If you're a samurai in heavy armor, and the samurai were working for the feudal lords that were existent in the early Tokugawa era, and Tokugawa was a type of shrimp tempura dip. When you're able to dip, it's just tasty, so fucking tasty. Makes me hungry just thinking about it right now. However, I don't eat shrimp, and that's the end of the tunnel there. So then, when you kind of step outside, broaden your eyes, open the look around, twist upward, kind of like you're on a railroad, and see it from the perspective of someone who's shedding light on the rest of the world and opening up their eyes to the glasses-wearing freaks of the freak show. And it's a lovely type of thing. It makes you smile, it makes you happy, it makes you feel more positive, jubilant. You walk about your day feeling impressed with yourself, and that's where you slow the fuck down on the sidewalk. And I do my best to keep this as G-rated, language-wise as possible, because we are truly wealthy, rich individuals who love listening to these podcasts, because they're very important for us to be able to reconsider and reconnect it in the options of the ways of them, of sort of like a menu where you're looking at option 1, then 5, 3, and you just keep, there's so many 1s and 3s, and there's just like a lager of sorts. A lager is a combination of lager and tigers, and lager is a not only a drink, but it's also a sort of a vehicle that was driven in the periods of 1282. So when you're lacking in that area, you just kind of move your ass up to the compass area, spin it toward the south. If you remember Gray and Groupon's codes, then there's like a saffron of sorts that leads you to the tippy top, and that's where I'm standing, is on top of the pyramid, on top of of all of it. I'm at the very top of the skyscraper, looking down on everyone, because I'm at the top position. I am the best that there is, and thank you for listening. to this podcast, one of the best podcasts you'll ever listen to in your whole life. You love it. All right, thanks. Yeah, so I'm not all about overdraft bank fees. Welcome to my podcast. Today, what we're going to be talking about is overdraft fees, banking fees, and loan payments, and how to be able to squash those with these simple tips. So I have 5 simple tips for you to be able to squash your bank issues, and one of the tips is you're gonna need to be able to step in the same rhythm as the dance machine. Now, the dance machine comes from an ancient time where they used to have music boxes, and music boxes eventually upgraded into jukeboxes. Now, jukeboxes, they would have your money. They'd take 25 cents, 50 cents, and it just kept going up and up and up. 20 pence, and how much more? Jacksaw, right? And so when you take that into consideration, there's sort of like a flavorless kind of like a white shell, and that is the same kind of coating that they used on the music boxes from the ancient days. And it was called a jukebox in Minecraft because that's what people of today know it as in the modern times. And so podcasts themselves were actually built around the same times as the music boxes. Not built necessarily, but they were constructed in a way that was necessary for mankind at the highest levels. When they stood on the mountaintops, they were preaching, and that leads us to my next tip. Tip number 2. Tip number 2 is about it's when you get sleep and you get enough sleep, and then there's like a soapbox. You stand on top of the soapbox, just like in a mountaintop. You're able to scream. Huh?
Moving to stage 5.
What is that? Stage 5 again? COVID? Oh my god. Yeah, so anyways, guys, we're gonna have to go ahead and move the tip number 5, and we're gonna have to skip tip 3 and 4 because of COVID. We've moved to stage 5, so tip number 5 for handling banking and all that kind of stuff is that what you're gonna have to do is use the tools that you have: pickaxes, shovels, drills. You're gonna have to create kind of like a siding for the side of the river. You're gonna have to shovel it downward, where the fresh soil is, the wet soil is. And if you happen to be lucky enough to be next to a dock or some kind of cement-like type of place, then what you're going to do is, in regards to banking, if you look at moss on the wall, it's the color green, like algae. And the color green, and the reason why money kind of took on that color in the ancient days is because of greenbacks. And greenbacks were a source of income, or a currency for the sources of income of the Abraham Lincoln style of and that's the center shot is Abraham Lincoln's abilities to be a forester and forager. And that's why at the side of the river you're going to understand that the money has to flow similarly to a spicy soup. Okay? Thank you so much, and just river your way through the podcasts that I've created. You're going to love it, and you do love it. You will love it, and that's exactly what it is. Thank you so much for listening to my podcast. It's been a pleasure to have you here, and as a Christmas person of times of Christmas, thank you so much for the Christmas, and it's a wonderful season.
of positive light.
Thank you. Huh?